All righty, we are ready. A little Okie tonight as the Flyers are in town to take on the Panthers at FLA Live Arena. And my man David Dwork, you can catch his work there for WPLG. He's got his own podcast also, Chirping the Cats podcast. And you're back, baby. You're back. You're back. We're teamed up again, which is it's good this time around, and a little better than the last time around, my friend. How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's good to see you. That was really cool, that intro. I like that.
Hey, man, we even though we may not have the resources at other places and other stops we've been, we're still doing way better than we were. So yes, we find a way to do things here and get it done a little better than we've done it in the past. So it's good, man. It's good to have you part of the family too, because we've been able to put together one hell of a lineup now here on the show. So it's good. Every day we're coming at people with all kinds of reports from all the teams, and I'm so happy that on the business side I was able to get this all lined up on the Panther side too, because I really wanted to add you and George to it. And I'm not done. I'm working on something else that I'm trying to have to give more coverage to the Panther fans out there that deserve it. But besides, dude, this is the best team in town. Okay, I know the Heat are really, really good, but this is the team that's really got a shot at the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, it's crazy. As the season has gone on, it's just, nothing's really changed. The train has stayed on the tracks. They've had one 3-game losing streak all year, and then all they did is come out like maybe the best they've looked all season in the games since that 3-game losing streak. So, I mean, this West Coast trip coming up is going to be a good test for them because they're going to play some tough teams. They're going to be out west. The road has been, maybe a challenge for them at points this year. Although right now I think they've won, 5 in a row in the road and 4 in a row overall. So, I mean, overall, it's just the snowball's going down the mountain at the right time of the year. And yeah, I mean, as much as I love the Heat and as good of a year as they're having, the Panthers just kind of feel kind of like a juggernaut.
Yeah. Now they've got to pair that with a long run in the playoffs now, or a cup, one of the two. But they've got to add that, because you and I know, those of us that follow it, we know they're special. But like the average fan or the one that's on the other side of the fence, they don't know how special this is. You know what I mean? And so that's the crazy part. So now you've got to kind of put both of them together. And with a long run this postseason, I think now we get the craziness behind the Panthers that they deserve, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, the diehard fans have been there all along, so they're obviously kind of basking in it right now. But you know how South Florida fans are, just as I do. And the only thing that's really going to get their attention is consistent winning. One playoff run, maybe you'll raise a few eyebrows. Maybe, you'll sell a few extra home games. But if this team shows, if they have a ridiculous regular season, they go on a long playoff run, they come back next year, they start to do it all over again. That's when people start paying attention. The wins, the bling factor. That's South Florida. That's what they love. The Heat have been an overall consistently winning team for the better part of 3 decades now, and that's why the Heat are kind of the team of the town. They've taken from the Dolphins. They've taken from the Canes. The Marlins never really were there. The Panthers never really were there. It's always been either Dolphins or Heat. If the Panthers can do what it looks like they're lining up to do, which is be good consistently for the next several years, I'm very curious to see how high they could rise in the hierarchy of local sports in terms of how popular they are with the fans. But if they keep winning, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, it'll get, dude, you saw it in Tampa. We can do that here. Once you create the buzz, and then people, you know how it is, David. All you got to do is get somebody to go to a hockey game. And then that changes their entire perception of the entire sport. If they're constantly watching on television, they don't really get to fall in love with it the same way. Once they go live, then they realize like holy shit, this is actually the best sport live.
Yeah.
Like football, baseball, basketball, soccer, they're all better on TV. This is the one sport that live is just a completely different monster. And, in the 90s, we got some people to do it and they got on the train. Only problem is the team was built for just a moment. This is built because it's something that can last a long time. And so now you've got a real opportunity to build a monster here. So getting into tonight's game, What do we know about Lundell, man? How serious is it? What's the deal with Lundell?
Well, he's not going to be out there tonight. I did ask Andrew Brunette after the morning skate if he thinks it's anything long term. He still says he's just day to day. There was no structural damage. Actually, now that I think of it, I think it was George that asked about Lundell today. I don't want to take any fire from George's smokestack. But no, he didn't. Brunette didn't make it seem as though it was anything serious. He hasn't been put on IR, which is kind of an indicator because the Panthers are kind of in a tight roster situation. So hopefully it's nothing serious. He's going to hopefully make an appearance on this next road trip. It just kind of goes to show how important this kid, this 20-year-old rookie, has become to the Panthers. I mean, we really didn't know just what to expect. The only thing I knew about Lundell heading into this season, aside from what we'd seen in him on the international stage, was that Blvd and at the time Joel Quenneville lit up when they talked about this kid. Right. So that had me excited heading into the year. And I mean, we've seen it as the season has gone on. He's just gotten better and better. And he, the term baby Barkov has been used to describe him. And it's really not that far off when you think of, the attributes that Barkov has and how he started as just a teenager himself when he was a rookie. It's exciting to think about. And so, yeah, it's a good thing. It doesn't look like it's anything long-term. He should be back within, hopefully the next week or so. And he can get back on that train that hopefully will take him maybe to a Calder Trophy. I don't know. There's some more exciting scorers out there, perhaps. But in terms of like a well-rounded player, like a 200-foot center, the kind of guy who like teams covet, that's what we're seeing Lundell. He's basically following in the footsteps of Sasha Barkov.
Yeah, but again, so young to be that ice cold in his veins. That's some scary stuff, dude. Because that's why I'm so impressed with the kid. Because to be this young and be so fearless, it's pretty awesome, man. It's pretty awesome.
And just think about his prime years are still 5-6 years ahead of him, and he's going to do nothing during that time but learn from maybe the guy who he can best embody in Sasha Barkov. And he's going to be around these amazing players and on these great teams, which is only going to give him more of a chance to grow and flourish because he'll have very good players around him. Just when you think about what the bar could be, when you look at, the guys on his own team, when you look at Barkov and Aaron Ekblad, and you look at Jonathan Huberdeau and the guys that started really young and worked their way up with this organization, suddenly you're starting to think, and you can add Spencer Knight to that mix as well, that the Panthers are suddenly maybe a breeding ground for these superstar type players. And the evidence is there, right? The receipts are right in front of you.
By the way, Knight is here to stay, right? That whole thing was more about getting him playing time down there and fine-tuning him a little bit more, so he's in a little bit more of a groove since he doesn't play nearly as much up here.
Yeah, well, he's back in Charlotte. He started there last night. He actually kind of got lit up a little bit last night. But remember, he had traveled the day before. He played in the NHL the day before that. I think right now the goal with Spencer Knight is, as you just said, get him playing time, get him back into kind of a routine of getting those, not just practicing every other day or practicing every day, but getting shots, game situations.
Guy? Like he's going to be back to be the permanent backup there.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. Like you can tell just the way they brought him back when they brought him last week for the back-to-back. That's what I did ask Andrew Brunette today. If the plan was to bring Knight back because they have another back-to-back next week. I believe it's Thursday, Friday, Vegas and Anaheim. And I asked him specifically if you're thinking of bringing him back for that back-to-back, and he didn't. He's like, oh, I don't know the total plan yet, but he kind of gave you the yeah. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be what the case is. It's just the roster situation right now is so tight, and Spencer Knight is one of only a few players on the team that don't have to pass through waivers to go to the minors. So they're taking advantage of that, and they're doing it in a way that they're getting this kid a lot of ice time. Which, I mean, look, how great did he play the other night in Buffalo when he'd been in the AHL for a month? So I think, when the playoffs start, he is absolutely the guy that's going to be, if nothing else, the backup. I mean, it's still, I think, a little TBD in terms of which guy they should roll with when the playoffs get here. Hopefully we'll get to see Knight at least, a handful of starts between the trade deadline when rosters expand and the playoffs start, just so you can kind of see, unless they're really, really comfortable with rolling into the playoffs with Sergei Bobrovsky. I would hope that they're going to get a good look at Spencer Knight over the course of the last month or so of the season, so they can just kind of lock into their one goalie for the playoffs. Because what happened last year, in the first round, where you start 3 guys in the 6-game span, it can't happen again. They got to find one guy and just roll with him.
And I think you already answered that question because I'm asking out of pure ignorance because I don't know all the rules. I know in baseball you only have a certain amount of times you can call up or bring down a minor leaguer. How is that in hockey? And you said something he doesn't have to clear waivers. So does that mean they have a free for all? They can send them up and down as many times as they want, or is there a limit in the season?
To the best of my knowledge, there's no limit for a guy that's waivers exempt. I will
Okay.
have to double check on that. I haven't read anything. I haven't heard anything. I don't remember anything about the young guys that get moved up and back. There may be not many situations where a guy would be moved enough times where you start to think about that kind of thing where there is a limit. But no, I think at this point, I would only expect it to happen maybe two times at the most between that. Because remember, the trade deadline is 2 Mondays from now, the 21st. After that, as long as you're under the cap, you can have as many guys as you want on the roster.
Okay.
That's when he'll be back, probably for good. I would imagine, because while it's been ideal for them to get him some playing time in Charlotte, once the trade deadline's over, you're kind of on the home stretch between then and the playoffs, and you want to get everybody locked in as well as they can. But yeah, I don't think that there's any limitations to how many times they can do it. It's just a matter of guys that are eligible to not pass through waivers, and you don't have to risk losing them.
Follow him on Twitter at David Dwork. And of course, remember, if you need a locksmith, ALennyLocksmith.com, 855-869-5625, all throughout South Florida. They've got 10 locations. You get locked out of your home, car, ALennyLocksmith.com. All right, we'll wrap it up with this. Give me a little scouting report. What do Panther fans expect tonight from the Flyers?
The Flyers have been a frustrating team, I'm sure, for their fans this season. A team that had a pretty exciting run last season, maybe some expectations this year, but they've struggled defensively. The Flyers have. They're a team that can score, maybe not that consistently this year. I would more expect, in terms of expectations for tonight, be looking at the Panthers. Mackenzie Weeder even said this morning that they've kind of in their heads that they know this is their only home game over the stretch of basically this month, because they just got back from a road trip. After tonight, this little quick one game, they're gone. I think their next 7 or 8 are on the road, and the trade deadline kind of falls in the middle of that. So they know that they want to put on a show for their fans tonight. I would expect the Panthers to come out like gangbusters, just kind of the way we saw them on that road trip. Andrew Burnett often talks about wanting to get off to good starts and maintain that. And this is a great opportunity for them because they know that they're flying high right now. They're playing a Flyers team that's not that good. I'm pretty sure they played last night at home. It might be 2 nights ago. The nights kind of bleed together for me at times, though. But it's a very winnable team. And this is a Panthers team that, look, they roll over teams that struggle defensively. The Panthers are going to maybe probably put 40, 50 shots on tonight. It would not surprise me at all. So I'm looking forward to a fun night. And then also, just to kind of keep in the back of your head, Flyers superstar Claude Giroux has been, discussed. I did hear from a couple of sources last weekend that the Panthers are giving him a very, very hard look in terms of possibly acquiring him at the trade deadline. So, Panther fans might just want to keep an eye on Giroux tonight.
All right. There you go. That's a little nugget heading into the Flyers and Panthers game tonight at FLA Live Arena. 7 p.m. is the face-off. David Dwork will be covering it, and you can catch him every week here on the program. David, thank you, my brother. Appreciate you immensely.
Always, my friend. We'll see you next week.
You got it. There you go. The great David Dwork, baby. Follow him on Twitter at David Dwork. Catch his work there at WPLG. And subscribe to his podcast, all right? Chirping the Cats Radio, all right? Support all the folks that do a great job here, man. There we go. David Dwork, baby.